Whatever, I'm really big. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Video Game Book Club, and today we are going to play the greatest love story ever told.
That is right. We are going to play our love story. Yeah.
It's filled with longing and lust.
Some fluids.
Lots
Yeah.
of fluids.
Some chainsaws.
And gore.
Blood.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Today we're going to play Gears of War 2, the game that me and Clay bonded over
Yes.
so many years ago in the dorm room.
Oh, yes, we did. Many of late nights were had.
Yeah, actually a lot of late nights.
A lot of late nights and wings.
Yeah.
Lots of wings.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's check it out.
Go! Picture it. You've just set off a light mass bomb and wiped out an entire civilization that existed only to destroy everything around it. However, 6 months after your bombing, a fatal disease known as rust lung spreads amongst what is left of the dwindling human population.
Not only that, but the cities of Tolan and Montevideo suddenly vanish below ground. As part of the coalition of ordered governments, you immediately suspect the resurgence of those destroyed with the light mass bomb. Now, your home city of Jacinto, the last safe haven for humans on this desolate planet, begins to show signs of the same fate befallen the other two cities. This is the plot that drives our game for today's video, Gears of War 2. Nearly 8 years to the day of this year's presidential election, Gears of War 2 was released on November 7th, 2008 by Microsoft Game Studios.
Developed by Epic Games and using their Unreal 3 engine and released exclusively on the Xbox 360, Gears of War 2 picks up 6 months after the events in Gears of War 1. On release weekend, Gears 2 sold 2 million copies and would go on to sell 4 million copies in 4 months. This led to the game becoming the 7th best-selling video game of 2009.
In your house, bitch! You hear that shit?
Gears of War 2 is a gritty, violent, third-person shooter, and with Epic Games' Unreal 3 engine, it's shown off much better than in Gears of War 1.
You once again take control of Marcus Phoenix, and his character model is shown off in great detail. His battle-damaged cog armor, coupled with the environments in-game, give you that sense of a world going to hell in a handbasket. The feeling that our main characters are literally fighting to survive is incredibly apparent. There is some major texture pop in at times, however that doesn't detract from the ambient sounds of the environment that bring you into the world of Sarah and never let you go.
While you do have your generic COG soldiers that all seem to stem from the same character model, there are plenty of characters who have their own look and attitude about them. Attention to detail is very apparent in these storyline characters, such as Dizzy, an old man who, by the looks of it, has been through some rough shit in his long life. The wrinkles on his face, his wiry hair, his sweet beard, all of these combine to make him a character to relate to.
The same thing can be said about the Locust as well. In Gears 2, your main objective is to exterminate the Locust. Just like the COG, the Locust army...
Wait. Didn't we wipe out the Locust in the first game using the light mass bomb?
Yeah, but it didn't work, so we have to fight him again.
Well, now that that's all cleared up, you may continue.
Thanks. Anyway, just like the COG, the Locust army is also shown off in brilliant detail. While all drones look alike, and all Cantuses look similar, the care taken to show off each family of enemies is top-notch. However, you do have your specific Locust enemies with their own well-detailed models, such as General Ron from Gears 1.
To go along with some very well-done graphical enhancements, Gears 2 also gives us excellent sound effects, ambient noises, and music to set the tone on this war-torn planet. From the clicking noise that tells you a ticker is on its way towards you, or the death scream of a Cantus bringing his fallen friends back to life, you will naturally pick up on these audible cues as you play through the campaign, making it somewhat easier for you.
Not to mention your basic weapon, the Lancer, with its built-in chainsaw. The revving, as well as the idling sounds, are pulled off perfectly.
The gameplay for Gears 2 is pretty reminiscent of your average first-person shooter. You play through a fairly linear level, taking cover and shooting the baddies.
Can we talk about this taking cover aspect for a second? I get there needs to be a way to handle everything your game has to offer, but to think it's okay to tie everything, and I mean everything, to the A button is absurd. Especially if you're going to make it so finicky that when I go to take cover, I roll out into Razor Hell, then take cover on the opposite side of the wall and die. I shouldn't be punished because of your dumb game mechanic.
Now that we have that out of the way, I have to mention that going back to this game made me rethink just how amazing it actually was back in college. Perhaps it was the fact that it was the game of my college career, and I was legitimately blinded by nostalgia and memories of it. Like we said, the levels are fairly linear and follow the simple pattern of fight through enemies for a portion of the level, progress to a new section, get more story, more enemies, progress, story. Rinse and repeat for 5 acts.
The levels do get broken up here and there with new ways to play, such as defending Dizzy's rig while cruising from one cog site to another, or when you're riding the Reaver after taking on Scourge, who's a really shitty boss, which makes for a terrible boss fight. God, I miss General Rob.
We had mentioned a few new additions to Gears 2 that were absent in the first game, both of which were welcomed, and one that Daniel was extremely proficient at, and that would have to be the chainsaw duels.
I was more than proficient at chainsaw dueling. I was the king.
No, seriously, I think I only saw him lose 4 or 5 duels in the numerous years we played that game leading up to Gears of War 3.
While attempting to chainsaw kill an enemy, they throw up their chainsaw, and you enter into an epic showdown of who can mash the B button the fastest. I was always faster. The winner obviously goes on to cut the loser in half. While you can have a draw where no one dies, I never had that problem. They always died.
If you didn't murder someone with a chainsaw or a headshot, you could find enemies just crawling all over the battlefield. This may seem like the perfect moment to go and just finish the job. But wait! Their teammate is coming after you to avenge their fallen comrade. So, what do? Why, you pick them up and use their body as a meat shield, of course. Oh, they have a chainsaw out? No big deal. They'll just end up chainsawing their friend, giving you time to murder again.
Or you could beat them to death with a pistol while they try to destroy the meat shield. This was a very welcomed addition to the Gears franchise. You basically get some extra armor from picking up a downed enemy, which is a nice reward for being better at the game than the other guys.
Is that gotta be?
Gears of War 2 picks up roughly 6 months after the events in Gears of War 1, if we haven't already drilled that into your head already. You set off the Lightmass bomb in an attempt to eradicate the Locust from the depths of Sarah. Unfortunately, as you soon find out, the COG was unsuccessful in their mission of genocide. While a large portion of the underground Locust horde was killed off, they make their presence known again. The cities of Tallinn and Montevado suddenly vanish underground after months of peace, and the COG immediately begin to suspect that the Locusts are not done with them yet. Once the impenetrable city of Jacinto begins to show signs of suffering the same fate, the COG have no choice but to take the war to the Locust.
Despite suffering heavy casualties already, the COG deploy multiple units into the Locust tunnels, which we learn is called the Hollow. Delta Squad, which includes Marcus Phoenix, Dom Santiago, Benjamin Carmine this time around, Augustus Cole, woo woo!
Mommy, you let the bad man hurt us. You, we gonna whoop your mama's ass. Whoa!
And Damon Baird. Search the Hollow and discover something known as a riftworm is being used by the Locust to sink these cities. Luckily for Sarah, Delta Squad goes full on inside the riftworm to destroy it from the inside out before it's able to sink Jacinto. However, while inside the riftworm, we witness the death of Benjamin Carmine. There is, however, little time to mourn his death, as you have to move forward and destroy the riftworm's 3 hearts before running like hell to get out, only to be vomited up in a Delta Squad bloodbath.
Once back on the surface, Delta is ordered to investigate a nearby abandoned COG outpost known as the New Hope Research Facility. Here, you encounter a new type of experimented on creatures known as sires. Sires resemble humans and locusts, as if they were mixed together. Marcus and Dom learn the location of the Locust stronghold and the Queen, as well as a backdoor entrance located in the Kadar Mountains.
At the top of Mount Kadar, Delta runs into a group of stranded led by Chap, the owner of the Asfo gas station from Gears 1. They had begun moving underground after their outpost was overrun by Locust forces. Marcus has Cole and Baird escort them back to the surface to be picked up by Ravens. Dom asks Chap if he has any information on his wife Maria. Chap believes Maria was in a group that was captured by the Locust and tells them to look for a waterfall near the Locust main highway.
You make your way towards Nexus, the Locust capital, by crossing a massive lake while being attacked by Locust gunboats and a massive fish called the Leviathan. In order to kill the Leviathan, you must throw grenades down its throat after shooting out its eyes. Once in Nexus, Dom convinces Marcus to help him search for Maria in the labor camps rather than continuing their mission. Marcus agrees and they set off looking for Maria. After a short search, Dom's game-long hunt for his wife finally comes to an end. You manage to locate the prisoner cage housing Maria, who is miraculously still alive.
But is she really living, or has she just been left alive? Tortured, disfigured, and unable to communicate. No more than a shell of a person, Dom is forced to make what has to be the hardest decision of his life. While Dom pleads with Maria to understand him and talk to him, it becomes apparent that she is no longer who she once was. Marcus begins walking away when he's stopped momentarily by the sound of a gun. This is of course foreshadowed earlier in the story when the group finds Ty after his own brief internment and he kills himself. If Ty, who was never fazed by anything, takes his own life after such a short time, what hope did Dom have for his poor wife?
Marcus reveals to Dom that he's found a way to sneak into Nexus undetected, but he understands if Dom doesn't want to go that route.
No way to sneak into Nexus, but if you want to go in guns blazing, I don't blame you.
If you were wondering what Marcus's original plan was to sneak in, you're in luck. The All Fronts collection included an extra chapter to Act 4, Road to Ruin. It features Marcus and Dom disguised as Theron guards acting out Marcus's original plan.
Once inside the Locust stronghold, we learn that the Locusts are in a civil war of sorts with a new enemy known as the Lambent, a group of Locusts exposed to emulsion, most likely due to the COG's light mass bombing. The Lambent are attempting to take over Nexus and overthrow the Locust Queen, who plans to evacuate the regular Locust forces and wipe out the remaining Lambent forces in the Hollow. But how did she plan on stopping the Lambent? Simple. Sink Jacinto.
You discover these plans when Jack hacks into a Locust terminal and reveals several recordings from Adam Phoenix, Marcus's father, explaining that if they sink Jacinto, it would flood the Hollow with seawater, destroying the Locust once and for all. Now you must fight your way through Nexus and the Queen's Palace while all along defeating waves of Locusts until you reach the throne room and confront the Locust Queen herself, along with Scourge. We've only seen Scourge briefly before this when he chainsawed a tank in half and fought with Dizzy and Ty.
The Queen explains that in order to stop the COG from flooding the Hollow before the Locust escape, she has sent an army to attack Jacinto. She briefly mentions Adam Phoenix, then orders Scourge to attack you. The Locust Queen tries to escape, but Cole and Baird pursue her, leaving you to battle Scourge in a series of chainsaw duels and pillar dodging. Eventually, Scourge escapes on his Hydra.
You hijack 2 Reavers and fly them to Jacinto.
I always wanted me a little horsey. It's a flying one. It ain't cool, but let's just get the fuck out of here. Let's go.
On your path back, you are attacked by Locust-driven Reavers and eventually Scourge on his Hydra. You manage to kill the Hydras, causing Scourge to fall to the ground below, killing him. Super weak sauce. Now you must clear out an area under Jacinto in order to place the bomb to sink the city. But how can we clear out an entire army of Locusts under one city? Why, by hijacking a Brumac and plowing through everyone. While Marcus and Dom fight through the Locust tunnels, Barrett and Cole transport a bomb into the cavern on a helicopter. However, your Brumac you rode in on falls into some emulsion and eventually mutates into a lambent Brumac. It then destroys the bomb before it can be detonated, so now Delta and the Cog are screwed.
Marcus, being the intelligent, quick thinker that he is, decides they should use the Hammer of Dawn on the Brumac while flying circles around him in a cavern. Somehow, it works, and the lambent Brumac explodes with as much or more force than their bomb would have, sinking Jacinto and allowing the seawater to flood the cavern and the tunnels, wiping out the remaining Locust forces. As the game ends, we hear the Locust Queen give the final narration.
Your world can end in the blink of an eye. One event, one unexpected twist of fate, and suddenly the world as you knew it is gone forever.
Anya, can you read me? Anya, come in! Anya!
All that you held dear, all that you held close, is washed away into the sea of distant memory.
I'm sorry, Marcus.
Life is cruel. Of this I have no doubt. But life continues on, with or without you. One can only hope that one leaves behind a lasting legacy. But so often, the legacies that we leave behind are not the ones that we intended.
If you stick around after the credits, you may hear the voice of someone we thought was already dead long ago.
This is Adam Phoenix. Is anyone out there? Can you hear me? This is Adam Phoenix. Can you hear me? What have you done?
But what does he mean? While there is a lot of stuff that happens within the storyline of Gears 2, it seems to fall slightly short of what Gears 1 brought us.
Sure, it shines some light on why the Locust may be more human in appearance and intelligence than other enemies from other games. The link between us has been established, with the Locust Queen being more human and kinda hot, and her fondness for Adam Phoenix definitely leaves some questions to be answered in the third game. Gears 1 gave us Locusts, a new enemy that was intelligent and thoughtful in their attacks. Rather than just going in guns blazing, these enemies had strategies and planned their attacks. An interesting boss with an interesting backstory in General ROM, which came down to a very intense boss fight.
However, while Gears 2 built on this and added to the story, it just feels like they dropped the ball when it came to an overall improvement. Yes, the controls were tightened up and the game itself was more balanced, while improvements to the Unreal Engine allowed for better graphics and an actual horde of enemies. Scourge and a lambent Brumac definitely leave a lot to be desired as far as boss battles go.
During the game, our characters talk about how tough and terrifying Scourge is when compared to General ROM, but honestly, I feel like ROM is the better character. Shrouded by krill and menacingly large like Locust Michael Myers, ROM trumps Scourge in my opinion.
Honestly, the battle with Scourge is so forgettable to me that while writing this script, I literally forgot to include that portion of the story until I was done and proofreading it for a second time. The story is good, yes, but overall, there seems to be more forgettable portions of the story than there were in Gears 1. Who remembers driving a car through the city and having to spotlight krill to keep them away from you? Now, who remembers driving across an ice pond in Gears 2? I'm not saying Gears 2 isn't a great game, because it is. It's just not exactly what I remembered it to be.
I think what kept us tied to Gears 2 was the amazing multiplayer. Wingman, Guardian, Horde, all of which were so much fun to play online. Nothing will ever top my multiplayer gaming moments than when I had the mortars on Avalanche and killed everyone within 30 seconds. The mortars eventually got patched and that was no longer possible, but it was and still is amazing.
Or playing Guardian and watching your leader run head-on into the opposing team because they had no clue that they were the actual leader. Then they die immediately.
And how can you skip over Horde mode? Battle through 50 waves of locust swarms, each more difficult than the last. If you get a group of friends together, you can easily take them on. But try playing with just 2 people in a dorm room. See how far you can get. I mean, this mode was so good and popular that it's literally become a prerequisite in so many multiplayer games now. This is what Horde mode came from.
Gears of War 2 overall is a great game and definitely worth a playthrough if you have time. But honestly, there is no need to run out and buy a copy right this minute. But sometime you should probably play it. I mean, it is pretty good.
Get the fuck out of my way, please!
Well, that was it, guys. The greatest love story ever told, Gears of War 2, starring Marcus Phoenix and Dom.
I'm gonna go do steroids.
I've been doing it for years! Woo! Jump on the Daniel train! That's it for today, guys. Like and subscribe below if you haven't already. I know you haven't. Leave us a comment down there, and let us know what you think of Gears of War 2. Who was your favorite character to play as online?
Yeah, and if you say Baird,
You're an idiot.
we're gonna stop making videos.
Yeah. Try to start my diet today, and instead I ate 2 lunches. That's not even a joke. I ate my lunch I took, and then I was like, nope, gonna need another.